Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Manitoba Junior Hockey League show. I'm Dave Anthony, joined as always with Kevin Pauls. Coming up this episode, we're going to touch on a little bit of what's going on in the league. Some teams are hot, some teams are not, and of course, we're going to delve into all of that. We're also going to be joined by a very special guest, Mike McCauley of the Niverville Nighthawks, who was helping put together, Team Canada West. Great conversation with Mike. We splice in some talk about the Nighthawks and their run that they're on. We talk a little bit about how the MJ and the SJ rivalry continues to evolve, and of course, some details on maybe when we're going to get some more information on that. But that's coming up a little bit later on. Kevin Pauls, we're doing a bit of a rapid fire episode today because there's so much to get caught up in, and we got to start at the top. And when you look at the top, what do you see? The Niverville Nighthawks perched right there looking down on everyone else in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. 17-1. They've won 11 in a row. They're 25 for 25 on the penalty kills since October the 25th. They are on absolute fire. But is it because they're a mature group now? And this is a little different than what we've seen in the past. This isn't an uncommon heater. Is this a mature kind of run that's sustainable long term?
Well, everybody always talks about the character of the players and the good young men that are on a lot of these teams, and the Nighthawks have no shortage of that. Their character is very strong. They have really good coaching between, Dwight Hurst, Tyler Anderson, and Jeff McGill. They do a fantastic job, and their daily regiment is let's be better than yesterday. Let's bring the work, and they find multiple different ways of winning. I saw them on Friday night with Winkler Flyers. They skated to a 2-1 victory. Is a very tight game. They don't give up a lot. And then you look at the game yesterday, the last game against the Pistons there, it's again a dominant sort of performance all the way through. They get good goaltending. Their defense is stingy, and you talk about their special teams, they're very good there too. So you can't take penalties. You have to stay out of the box. And if they take a penalty, well, the chances are they're going to probably kill it off. So they're strong in a lot of areas, goaltending being one of them too. And they're just a fantastic young team to watch.
Well, we'll talk about Austin Dubinsky in a second. We actually talked more about that with Mike McCauley. But as you said, I was actually in the building last night. Again, shout out to the game day production. Wonderful Remembrance Day ceremony. Really cool to see the players shake that serviceman's hand. Really cool stuff at the end of that. But for me, you talked about the defense, but it comes back to the forwards and the complete buy-in of the structure. And for hockey teams that think they're working hard, watch the Niverville Nighthawks because that is a team that works hard. And it's all at the start with Adam Vigvason. There was a play in particular where I watched him support a defenseman in his own end and then end up circling all the way back, tracking and everything, and then being the first man up the ice for the rush the other way. Talk about a complete 200-foot player. But when you want to look at follow the leader, that's the guy that you want to follow. And again, if you think you're working hard, you're not if you're playing the Niverville Nighthawks because they will outwork you.
Well, it's complete team buy-in, and it's speak of a guy like Adam Vigvason, he's a wonderful young man. Like talk about a strong character, very bright individual, and they've got a number of those on that team. And when you watch their game, everybody is bought in on every square inch of that ice surface. No one's breaking the zone early. No one's going out there to pad their stats. They have a mission that they work on as a cohesive group, and that's echoed on the bench. Like Dwight Hurst and his coaching staff are doing a fantastic job keeping the mission in focus, and the guys are going out and executing. It's brilliant hockey to watch.
Kevin, I know we're kind of tighter for time today, but one more thing on the Nighthawks, because we'll talk about Austin Dubinsky with Mike McCauley.
Yep.
There is tiers when it comes to the offense, though, with the Nighthawks. You got their leading scorers all over 20 points, and then there's a bit of a drop off after, 4, 5, and 6. Is that sustainable long term, or will teams make adjustments? And how does Niverville deal with that when, their depth is inevitably going to be tested when teams start trying to shut down that top line?
I think their depth is very solid. I think ultimately they have a lot of guys that can put the puck in the net and find other ways of contributing. You look at, there's even defensemen that are very good offensively that maybe we haven't seen the best from yet. I know Parker Carrier, he's a really good puck carrier. He can also shoot the puck. I watched Jaden Maw on Friday, and he's dangerous every shift he's out there. Very good young player for the Nighthawks. And then you still have the Hayden Weddens, the Merrick Bowleses, Dawson Zellers of the world that are there to contribute. And I think that they have a very solid lineup through and through, and I think there's a lot of guys that if there's a lull, let's say for argument's sake, that the top scorers maybe take a bit of a break. I think there's a lot of guys there. It's a next man up mentality in Niverville.
There's a similar mentality forming in Portage, another 3-0 week for them, and led by an 0-8 forward by the name of Trevor Hill. 17 goals in 19 games, 29 points. Just 5 goals on the power play, already 3 game winning goals. This kid is on another planet right now, Kevin. You've seen him recently as well. Just take us through your thoughts on this wonder kid, Trevor Hill.
He's dynamic. I watched him in warmups yesterday, and he's fun to watch. He's got a great first step. I love the way he attacks the play. He contributed on the game tying goal. Actually, scored the game tying goal. Pardon me. And he contributed on the. I think he made it 1-1, and then he put him up. Assisted on the 2-1 goal. So he's always contributing on the ice. He's a fantastic player, really quick release. So you can see why he's leading in goals. He's second in points. Every night he's on the ice for the Portage Terriers. He's a threat. And I think everybody's aware now. It's no surprise. All eyes are on Trevor Hill, certainly.
When you look at the Terriers as well, talk about the rich getting richer. Mitchell Caitler coming back, and him and Ryan Vellon are going to form quite a tandem in
Yeah.
nets, and that's going to be an interesting dynamic. They did it last year, but Vellon being a 20-year-old now, it's maybe a little bit different, and he was spectacular this year. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic going forward, and something Blake Spiller and the staff have to manage.
Well, it's nice to have a two-headed monster in your net. And yesterday I watched Caitler make a game-saving save in overtime. It's just a fantastic, explosive left to right move. Great blocker save on what would have been the game winner in overtime. And I think that's something that Portage offers. They're stingy. They can play a tight game. They can play a run and gun style of game as well. And there were points where if the Flyers weren't careful, that game could have gotten out of hand for them because the Terriers are dangerous on multiple levels. And now they have a really good goaltending tandem that can be very effective.
Sticking in the MGEU East here for a moment, one of the teams that is not having the strongest of runs here is the Selkirk Steelers. They are winless in the month of November so far, and as the top 3 teams in the MGEU East kind of start pulling away, it's looking like that 4th spot is going to be a real battle here coming up. And Selkirk's got it right now. Massive game coming up on Wednesday against the Winnipeg Blues. But Selkirk scuffling a little bit, Kevin. What have you seen from a distance when it comes to the Steelers? Is it just a rut in the road, or is this a long-term concern?
Well, we saw it last year, and we did talk to Hudson Friesen about it in our last interview, as a matter of fact. It's that sustainability, losing some key pieces, i.e., Guevara, to another league has certainly not helped their chances. I think a lot of the other teams have made adjustments in the last few weeks of hockey, and I think everybody's starting to get more competitive, and Selkirk's starting to trend in the other direction. You would hope that they would find a way to kind of get back in the win column and really make the MGEU East a real mud mire of competitive hockey, because the Winkler Flyers are going to steadily get better. Obviously, they lost a tight game to Portage yesterday, but those are also the games. You talk about the game tonight that the Steelers have against the Winnipeg Blues. I think this is a must win for them. They need to find a way to shift their wins, so to speak.
It's going to be really interesting. I know goal scoring has been hard to come by of late, but Ethan Sawyer in net represented so well at that Western All-Star Challenge, and he gives you a chance to win every night. It's going to be what can be done in front of him, but some winnable games may be coming up here, but some tough tests as well for the Selkirk Steelers. Going to the MGEU West, I saw the Verdun Oil Capitals in person. Man, is that a hardworking, fun team to watch. Bryce Bryant, I mean, every time he touches the puck, he's dangerous, but one of the teams I want to focus in on was the Dauphin Kings, another team that's kind of struggling in the month of November, 0-4. They've given up more goals in the first 4 games of November than it seems like they gave up in the entire month of October. Is it again? It feels like this is just a bit of a blip on the radar, Kevin, but there may be starting to be some concerns defensively for the Dauphin Kings.
Well, I mean, everybody's adjusting to them as well. I mean, night to night, they can be, I've seen them be two different teams. And I think it's awfully hard to remain consistent, but they do have a good coaching staff there as well. So I'm sure they'll figure it out. But they have some really strong pieces. They can get good goaltending on any night. We keep coming back to goaltending. So obviously it's an important thing, or I'm extremely biased. We're not sure. But they have solid netminders there, and I think they're going to have to find a way to gain that consistency because everything's going to get tighter. We're only getting stronger as we move on to the midway point of the season. So I love the competitiveness. I love the parity because there's a lot of teams in this league that can win on any given night, and the fans win with the entertainment.
Yeah, I mean that MGEU West is going to be a dogfight. I mean, Northern Manitoba's at the bottom right now, but they're still within shouting distance of Wayway-Sakapa, which has not done anything to pull away from the pack just yet. So that MGEU West division is going to be fascinating. Another team I want to touch on is the Winnipeg Monarchs in the MGEU East, picking up a couple of wins. That's got to feel really good for a program that's had some really long nights, Kevin. Just from your point of view, not only being competitive, but getting some results, what that can do for a team, not only in the short term, but long term.
It's got to be hard on a night-to-night basis, especially early on when and you're on the wrong end of a couple lopsided wins there for your competitors. I think for the coaching staff to keep focus is a really admirable thing because the end goal is to make incremental improvements throughout the course of the season. You have to have a short-term memory when it comes to the losses and yet focus on the task at hand, and that's getting better at the game of hockey. And I think they've done a relatively good job. It's nice to see them get a couple wins and move that needle, but I think they need to just keep focused and keep plugging away because that East Division is ridiculous as far as some of the top teams are concerned, loaded with talent. So on a night to night basis, going into some of those top buildings has got to be a tough task.
Well, absolutely. And how many times Kevin Surratt spoke to him a few weeks back about just wanting to have a competitive league from top to bottom, and we're starting to see more of that. So now the challenge for the Monarchs is uh, they have to continue it. Like you said, it's got to be sustainable. You cannot play well and then have this dip where you give up, 10 goals in a game. It's the challenge now is to just keep kind of slowly getting better, be in the fight every night, and then kind of go from there. And I mean, that's what this league is kind of turning into. It's a fight every night, and every team is kind of battling throughout. And you look at the standings: MGEU East, Niverville, Steinbach, Portage, Selkirk, and the Winnipeg Blues, who have come on as well with some nice performances of late. Winkler's right there, and then we talked about the MGEU West. I mean, if you're a team in this league, you can never take a night off, right?
No, because anything can happen. We saw it with the playoffs last year. Maybe an unsung hero in the West rose to the occasion, and the Norman Blizzard taking the championship. I don't think too many people would have picked them at the start of things, considering the powerhouses. So it really gives everybody that sort of chip in a chair mentality. There's always a chance. It's worth doing. It's worth putting the effort in and going out there and trying to win hockey games. And I think it's nice that we have such a competitive league. It's nice that there's a bar that you can achieve. And right now, the Nighthawks are that bar. So I think everybody is going to be striving to be better night in, night out.
Kevin Paul's on the MJHL show. I'm Dave Anthony. Coming up, Kevin, we're going to get your pick for game of the weekend. So take a look at that as we get into the Manitoba Liquor and Lottery's 3 stars of the week. I mean, we already talked about him. Trevor Hill of the Portage Terriers, 8 points in 2 games, 4 goals. Sensational as the rookie from Texas is on absolute fire. Austin Dubinsky of the Niverville Nighthawks, 2-0, picked up another win yesterday. Fantastic run that he is on, and really the backbone of that Niverville Nighthawks team that is now, as we mentioned, won 11 in a row. And great to see, Dubinsky getting his flowers, well deserved. And we'll talk more about that with Mike McCauley. And then Evan Gratt of the Steinbach Pistons, 5 points in 2 games. This kid just comes to work every day. He's got such a great attitude. He's really worked hard on his skating, and it shows. He's a big body. He fights through contact. He generates plays. And just a really great kid on and off the ice. So those are your Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries 3 stars. Don't forget, coming up, we've got our power rankings that are out. Check that out on the Manitoba Junior Hockey League social media accounts. And Kevin, as we get ready to jump into our conversation with Mike McCauley, why don't you give us a game this weekend that has caught your attention for one reason or another? What is your game of the weekend?
Well, I've kind of got two. One for a different reason than the other. My first one would be Norman visiting Selkirk on Friday. So there's two teams that desperately need a win. I know the people in up in the paw don't like us pundits picking over them every week. I heard about it last week, believe me. So I know there's two teams that need to shift in direction. So that is going to be a battle. One team's on the bottom of the standings, the other one's in the playoff spot quickly falling. So I think there needs to be a change in the weather there for both of them. So I expect that one to be very tightly contested and a tough one to pick, to be honest with you. The second one, I think that Verdun Portage game on Saturday is going to be a dandy. A lot of talent on the ice, two teams that'll clash pretty hard and have had a good history against one another. So that'll be fun to watch as well.
Want to give a shout out to the Northern Manitoba Volunteers. What a great joy to go to that rink, that Roy H. Johnson, fantastic atmosphere. The Volunteers treat us so well. They've made a nice little broadcast area. They do fantastic with around the team. So thank you to the Volunteers. And yes, we keep yelling at Kevin Pauls if you don't like what we say. He doesn't mind. I'm
Bring it.
sensitive. Yeah. And Kevin, the problem when I give you the opportunity to speak first is sometimes you take the game right out of where I was thinking. So I was actually circling that Verdun Portage game as well. So you know what? I'm going to circle Wayway, Sikapo, and Winkler. And that's my game of the weekend. Both teams need to start trending in the right direction. I've talked to Matt Mello. He believes that the team is carving out their identity. Again, it's a difficult thing when you've had success and then you're kind of transitioning with a different roster and a different system, but they're finding their way. They're getting better. And the Wayway Capital Wolverines always seem like that team that's on the precipice of taking that next step, but just can't quite seem to get there. They have so much talent. I am such a big Sebastian Hicks fan. I think they are really like right there all the time. It's just let's see if they can get a win on the road and see if they can start building from there. So defending the Icon Arena is huge for Winkler. Finding success on the road is huge for Capital. So that is my game of the weekend. Before we wrap things up here on episode 3, we're going to jump into a conversation that we had with Niverville Nighthawks incredible individual, Mr. Mike McCauley, who was a big part of Team Canada West. He'll delve into all that. And of course, Kevin Paul's crowbars, some Niverville Nighthawks stuff in there as well. So here is our conversation with Mike McCauley. Very excited now to be joined with a very special guest. We're told he's finally at home, although he needed a map to find it. Mr. Mike McCauley of the Niverville Nighthawks. Mike, thanks so much for doing this today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate the warm introduction.
Well, how does it feel to kind of be back at home and kind of reset after all that you've done, part of Team Canada West this last few weeks?
Yeah, it's been an interesting process for sure. Spent a lot of time on the road getting to know the AJHL a little bit better, and spent a lot of time in a bunch of different barns. And yeah, it's really nice to get home and culminating that with the MJSJ showcase in Martinsville. It's just great to see all the talent across all the different leagues and the MJSJ guys coming together, and it was really good competition. So, but it's nice to be home.
So, Mike, why don't you give us the details as to your role and how you're kind of fitting in with the whole process this year?
Yeah, so my role this year is to essentially oversee the hockey operations of Team Canada West. So, in collaboration with the coaching staff, we've got a really good coaching staff there. A lot of tenured guys that have been around a long time and have had success in their different leagues. And the first part of it was to the identification and the selection of the actual rosters. So, getting out there and seeing a whole bunch of hockey and traveling to Alberta and on 2 different occasions, and really just spending a lot of time on Zoom meetings and touch points with the different coaching staff and collaborating on the video that we've seen and where we see the players and ultimately getting to the roster decision.
Mike, is it a natural progression being the GM of a Manitoba Junior Hockey League team, obviously, and being able to step into this role? Is it just kind of something like, obviously the experience over your years of doing this has helped? You've been doing it for a considerable amount of time. Talk a little bit about how the process has been and how you've grown into this position.
Yeah, it's well, first of all, it's an honor anytime that you get asked by Hockey Canada to be part of their programs, whether, no matter the role. It's an honor to be there and watching the players pull those jerseys on. Somebody said to me the other day, you can wear a Team Canada jacket because you and the players have earned it, not because you bought it at Sport Check. So, when somebody says something like that, it kind of hits home a little bit, but we're trying to do our best in Niverville and build that program. And, Paul's, you and I got to know each other a little bit through our time in Winkler as well. And, yeah, I don't know if it's a natural evolution, but it's definitely an honor and a privilege that they picked me to do this.
All right, Mike. So you saw the team in action. You saw the boys and what they were able to accomplish. Just what were the takeaways from the on the ice product, and how did the MJHL guys kind of stand out over the 3 days in Saskatchewan?
First of all, I do have to mention, anytime that you get hotel staff stopping me on my way out saying what a great group of young men that the league has, both in the Manitoba League and the Saskatchewan League, it's always nice to hear. I know it's a small thing, but again, just they're ambassadors of their league, they're ambassadors of the country, and they just really represented themselves extremely well off the ice. So, first thing I got to say is just how proud I was of how they conducted. They went about their business very, very professionally. On the ice, it was what really stood out to me about the Manitoba Junior Hockey League guys was the pace that the forwards played at. I think that they generated a lot of speed in the neutral zone. They weren't easy to play against down low. So that was one of the things that really stood out, was just the overall speed that the Manitoba Junior Hockey League guys played with.
Talk a little bit about, I know this is a lot of stuff we're talking about, the Team Canada thing in general, but I'm looking over at you guys in Niverville and what you've been able to accomplish this season. A convincing win over the Steinbach Pistons, 4-0 win yesterday. Your record is 17-1. How cool is that, and what kind of a feeling is that around the organization in Niverville, considering how you've constantly taken steps forward over the last 4 years? Nighthawks 4.0 is looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, a lot of credit to the coaching staff and that the continuity that we've had sort of year over year. I mean, they've done a really good job with that group, both structurally, conditionally, making sure that their condition is up. Like, they spend a lot of time in the gym and spend a lot of time pushing pace on the ice. And it's just really nice to see that core group of players that, let's face it, had options to go elsewhere leading into this year, and decided that they wanted to do something special this year. And they've had that on their mind right from the get-go. And yeah, they're playing really good hockey right now, and it's really good to see them get rewarded for the hard work that they're putting in. And again, just a big hat tip to Dwight, Tiny, and Jeff McGill for the structure that they've put in place and how they have this team playing right now.
Bringing it back to Team Canada and just the experience in Saskatchewan. You talked about the pace of play. You talked about the MJHL. There's always been kind of a great rivalry between the MJ and the SJ, going back to the showcases, going back to the Anavet Cup, which I really do miss. I wish we could do the Anavet Cup again. I thought that was a wonderful tournament, a long tournament, but a good one. Just take us through the rivalry between Manitoba and Saskatchewan, and how there's a lot of respect, but also, a lot of animosity, and the games are so entertaining. Like,
Yeah, it was they were really intense games. Martinsville did a really good job of hosting that. And the SJHL, Kyle McIntyre and crew, they did a really good job of hosting it. And there was a really good turnout, excuse me, both in the evening game and the early or the morning game. And there was a lot of buzz and intensity in the crowd, and that definitely spilled over onto the ice. Like, there was a lot of respect between the two teams, but they played hard, they played heavy, and they wanted to win that game. I mean, they were showcasing themselves personally, but at the end of the day, both teams wanted to come away victorious. So it was really fun to see. It was the competition level was just so high and so intense. Yeah, I was really proud of how both sides played.
Mike, I talked to Winkler Flyers defenseman Kaysen Fisher before he went to the event, and he specifically mentioned how much pride he and his teammates were expected to take in wearing that crest and wearing, that logo. Just what was it like to see that team kind of take a moment and appreciate what they were able to, accomplish on their own and what they were able to represent when it comes to not only their province, but potentially their country as well?
Yeah, we talked about that at the onset of the event, and anytime that you get a chance to be selected to participate in something like that is a real honor. But really, like, I can't say enough just how much and how proud I was of the way that they represented the league and their teams. Like, all those young men just did a terrific job.
Obviously, you guys have seen a lot of success this year, bringing it back to the Nighthawks, Mike. We always talk about that next step. The Nighthawks were close. They pushed the Winkler Flyers to a pretty good series last year in round one. Is this the year that you think they can take another step forward as far as the playoffs are concerned and playoff success? Obviously, the ultimate goal is a Turnbull Cup championship, but things have been building there. Is this the year the Nighthawks really push forward?
Well, that's a good question. I think that you've kind of hit it right there with what you said earlier. It's building towards, and trying not to focus on the prize at the end. Our eyes are on the prize at the end, but Dwight and his team really talk about stacking days, stacking good days after good days, and we know that it's going to get tighter. We know that our game has to continue to elevate. Because we all know the hockey's different after Christmas, January down the stretch and into playoffs. So, just to kind of follow what Dwight always says, we just have to continue to keep stacking days and ultimately, hopefully, the success continues for us.
Last one about Team Canada West, and then we'll delve a little bit more into the Nighthawks before we let you go. Can you just give us a sense of a timeline of maybe when we can expect some more information to come out? I know a lot of MJ players and teams and fans are looking forward to the big announcement and potentially seeing some MJ guys on the roster. Can you give us a sense of maybe when things are going to come out for public consumption?
Yeah, we're hoping soon, but again, a lot of that is depending on the process that the players and the staff are going through. So I think once that's all been cleared, I would expect to see a roster. I'd hate to put a timeline on it because ultimately, it's a Hockey Canada roster announcement. So yeah, I'm expecting soon.
All right, Mike. I know Kevin sprinkled in some Niverville Nighthawks stuff. I was at the game on Remembrance Day for starters. Beautiful ceremony, really well done to the staff. Really great, honoring a veteran and watching the team afterwards. Every guy shook his hand and just took a moment. I thought that was great. The start is fantastic, Mike. But returning so many players, what does that say to you about how the program has come along over the last few years?
Yeah, the question gets asked quite a bit about what defines success, and I think that's one of the biggest ones where you get players that see the value in returning, appreciate the culture that's being built and ultimately want to be a part of it. So again, I just hat tip to our leadership group. I mean, it takes some key players and to kind of sit there and to all buy into this is what we want to do this year. So again, I just gotta, I mean, coaching staff's doing a great job, and our volunteers and our game day crew. I mean, we just have such a terrific group here in Niverville, and that culture that's being created here, it starts at the top.
I'd maybe like to expand on that a little bit, Mike, because that's something, I had an opportunity to see that on the inside for myself. And just how important is it, not just from the hockey operations side, but from a game day when you walk into the Niverville rink, from the moment you get in, you see the volunteer support, you see the active executive support from the board members on down to their families. Like, it's a very unique environment there in Niverville, and obviously you can feel it from the hockey side of things.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head again there, Palsy. I mean, it's the amount of volunteers and everybody wants to create that game day experience that's so important. And that's what ultimately is going to get people coming back, watching the games. And we all know how off ice success and on ice success in this league are linked. And again, it just someone like Fran Giesbrecht, like just the ultimate volunteer, that entire family, and her ability to find people that are like-minded and really want to deliver that game day experience. She's just a wonderful person, and just our entire group of volunteers are just really selfless, and same thing. Board of directors are very active, making sure that everything goes off without a hitch. So, I mean, I got to give them a lot of credit, all from our volunteer directors, all the way down. I mean, we just have such a terrific group there.
Mike, it's going to be interesting for the Nighthawks this year because you look at the progression like we talked about, and it was, hey, it's great Niverville is in the playoffs. Hey, it's great they're pushing Winkler, they're right there. Now you're expected to do something in the playoffs. If you don't get out of that first round, it might be considered a failure. So how are you dealing with the pressure? And I know it's a privilege and all, but now you're the hunted, and just take us through the thought process of how it's changed and how you approach it now being one of the top teams in the country.
Yeah, and we spent a lot of time talking about complacency and something that we can't get into. And I mentioned it earlier. It's continuing to look at our game and continuing to elevate where we are. I mean, we know that we're kind of creeping into that territory where we're going to see everybody's best and night in and up, night out. And we're not kind of the sleepy expansion Nighthawk team this year. And so I think just internally, that's going to be important. We have to sort of control what we can control, and just continue to work that much harder off the ice, that much harder during practice, taking a lot more time in video and pre-scouts, and all the things that the coaches right now are doing to be successful, and really just continue to elevate our game, continue to work hard, worry about us is kind of the mantra. But we know it's gonna get tight. We know it's gonna get tougher. We know games are gonna get a little bit heavier as we head down the stretch, and I think this group is up for the challenge.
I have less a question, more of a statement, and further to what you're saying there. Obviously the perspective is key around this league, and seeing what you guys have done from being the hunter to now being the hunted is quite the transformation as an organization goes. And to come in square one, not really having a roadmap, it's an unprecedented scenario in Niverville for a greater extent. And now you're experiencing this success, being able to be a fly on the wall and seeing that progression and watching you, the players, hockey ops, the organization as a whole grow is quite extraordinary. So really cool to see, Mike, and we're certainly here wishing you guys all the best moving forward.
Yeah, I really appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Well, Mike, I wish we had more time because there's so much more that we could delve into. Because one of the most fascinating stories of them all might be your starting goaltender, Austin Dubinsky, and the rise that he's had. I mean, before we let you go, can we squeeze that in and just what you saw in him last year to bring him in, and then watching him, lead that team when maybe others outside the organization thought you would flounder. But boy, has he become one of the best stories in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League.
Yeah, he's again, it starts with the person he is off the ice. He's a terrific person. He's a terrific teammate. Nobody works harder at practice. He came in last year without a guarantee, just wanted an opportunity, wanted to look, knew what was in front of him from a competition standpoint. And every day he just works incredibly hard in practice and is extremely competitive. I mean, you guys see it in the games, how he battles for pucks, and just that compete that he plays with, he brings that every day at practice, and he just makes our organization better from back there. And I'm, I couldn't be happier for him that he's finding that personal success, because I think you're right. I mean, when he took over the job at around Christmas time last year, I think there were a lot of people I'd be, this could be a bit of trouble for the Nighthawks. And, he grabbed the reins and he took that net over, and, he hasn't looked back. So, yeah, and I couldn't be happier for him. He's a wonderful, wonderful human being, and he's an excellent hockey player, and he's got a really bright future.
Mike, we really appreciate you being so generous with your time. And for all those watching, I just want to put it out there that the hairstyle is not indicative to hockey. There's plenty of people in the sport that have hair, although it will make you tear it out sometimes. Mike McCauley, congratulations on the success to this point, and look forward to chatting again down the road. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot for having me on. Appreciate it.
As we get ready to wrap up episode 3 of the Manitoba Junior Hockey League show, we want to, of course, give a big shout out to all the people behind the scenes that make it an enjoyable experience for players, for fans, for broadcasters, for team personnel, all of them. Kevin, I've got a volunteer shout out for today. It comes from the Portage Terriers, Frank Hay. He runs the bar. He billets multiple players. He's on the board. Cody Bueller says he's just one of those great guys that just loves being a part of Terrier country. And a great reminder for a shout out to the billets around the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. It doesn't happen without them. And these kids, they're sometimes 16 years old. Our league's getting younger, so some of them are away from home, whether it is in Winnipeg or regardless. But these billets play a huge role in their lives, and we've had billets hosting kids that they had 10 years ago at their home recently. So shout out to Frank and to the wonderful billets around the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. That's our volunteer shout out. Final thoughts, Kevin Pauls. Is there anything on your mind that you would like to speak before we wrap up episode 3?
It's just been exciting to watch. I love the way all these teams are developing on a nightly basis. We're treated to such fantastic hockey, and for you and I to be flies on the wall on most occasions, it's just really neat. The MJHL is in a really good place. We're talking about a lot of great players this episode, so it's fun to see these guys going out there on a nightly basis and executing well, and it's just great to see. I know the fans are happy about it too.
Absolutely. Today we had to kind of go a little bit quicker, but in the future episodes, there are some things we want to talk about. And I want to give a special shout out to Jeff Ides of the Steinbach Pistons and Justin Giesbrecht of the Niverville Nighthawks. There was an injury in Niverville a couple of weeks ago where both of them had to go out onto the ice. They needed extra attention, extra medical attention, but they were there. They were fantastic. And we've seen this a few times. Our game is getting faster, players are getting bigger, and things happen on the ice. So we want to say a big thank you to Jeff and to Justin, to all the wonderful athletic therapists out there. Well, I'm being told that it is time to wrap up, as my boss is telling me here. Hold on a second. You say hi? Hello. Okay, say bye-bye. Say thank you for watching. That is episode 3. That is episode 3 of the Manitoba Junior Hockey League show. We want to thank Eric Swar behind the scenes, of course, Mike McCauley, and to all the wonderful Manitoba Junior Hockey League teams that let us chat with them throughout. On behalf of Kevin Pauls, I'm Dave Anthony. Thank you for watching.